Hello, hello. Welcome back to Education System Reboot. I thought I would talk about a phrase that I've been kind of using a lot lately. And I think that the phrase itself has a lot to offer concepts within my channel. And that phrase is habit first, quality second, or quality later. And so the premise of this is, I think, very straightforward in this sense. Anything worth doing, you need to develop a habit first. And I know I earlier did a kind of a review of The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And then here soon, I'm going to be reading a book called Atomic Habit by James Clear, I believe is his name. And I've watched some podcasts and videos and done some diving down their concepts. And I think what I'm preaching here is very similar to some of their concepts. But I want to start this particular live stream video with an analogy that I've come across twice, one in a John Maxwell book, and the other was actually in an audio of this James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habit. He was referring to one in a book was talking about a photography or a pottery class, and then the other one was referring to a photography class. But the concept was the same, where the teacher divided them into two groups, and Group A or Group 1 was only going to be graded on quantity, like how many either photos they took or how many pottery they made. And the other was only going to be graded on the quality of one. They only had to produce one photo or one ceramic, pottery, whatever, but it had to be of the best quality. Okay. And so the analogy that both of these talk about is how the quantity group, the group that was just belting out lots and lots of photos or lots and lots of pottery, was learning from their mistakes. They were allowed to create, and by the time they had done 50, 100, whatever minute amount they had done, the quality in the end was better. They actually surpassed they surpassed the quality group. So what would happen is, in the quality group, the people that were like tasked with getting just one quality photo or one quality pottery, ceramics, they were almost frozen with fear. Like they didn't quite, I don't know what the right word is. They didn't know how to begin in a way, right? And I kind of feel like, so now, actually, let me give a couple more analogies before I go into the application of this concept. I think if we think about sports, like it's like a no-brainer. Well, that's how sports are. You got to develop skills, develop habits, and then you got to keep doing those habits. And as you get more natural at a certain skill within the habit, you want to make it better. You want to find ways to make the quality better. I think music, because I'm a music teacher, obviously, follows the exact same format. Like if you want to get better on an instrument, you've first got to start practicing, period. Right? That should just be I think to me, it's just logical, but again, maybe to other people, it just doesn't enter their mind, but the daily habit of practicing. And then what happens once you've established that ability to practice, then you analyze and improve the quality of the practice, right? But you can't magically practice well if you haven't developed the habit. And I think we naturally, intuitively understand this in many other areas besides education. Okay. Let's just talk about some real world examples, right? Let's say you're older like me and you're trying to survive the real world. You need to budget, right? You got to get that habit first. You got to track your spending, and then you got to improve the budgeting over time. I'm just trying to give a real world example. Exercise. No, like if you're not doing it, it doesn't matter the quality, right? You've got to be consistent. You got to develop the habit first. This is technically an example from education, but it's more specific. Writers, like if you want to be a writer, the step one is start writing, right? You don't magically think about it. You write, you keep writing, you write articles, you just write. And then you improve your writing through analysis, through reflection, through trial and error, but you got to do the habit. Again, if you want to grow in any area, again, if you're religious, I'm just saying, like, if you want to increase your faith, if you're a believer, you got to start reading the Bible, the habit. You've got to interact with whatever you are wanting to improve on a daily basis. And that, again, is where I'm going to kind of now switch to what does that look like in education, at least in my opinion. So first and foremost, I hope it stands to reason. It's habits, it's routines, right? So I'm going to try to go through different classes right now. Music, like I said, music, I think kind of naturally does it. I've done a video kind of about that. I think, actually, let me just go back and simplify it. In education, it looks like the way we taught 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. I mean, that's really what it is. Repetition, habits, the development of a consistent work ethic, right? If it's math, you do 20, 30, 40, 50 math problems a night. And you learn to build the habit of that. And then you, over time, learn how to increase the quality, right? That's literally the sequence of math curriculum, if you, in my opinion. Like, again, what do I know? I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything. I just know that I'm seeing these consistent systems and consistent approaches that, to me, seem applicable to every area of our education system. I already said writing. Like, if you want kids to get better at writing, well, are you writing every day? Or are you giving some lecture that kind of talks about this and then you move to this and you go over? Or are kids literally writing every day in your class? Do they learn the art of journaling or the art of reviewing? And I've heard from teachers, there's like peer review, there's other things that we do. But my wonder, my what if, my wonder question is, do we do it daily? Or do we just kind of pick and choose? Do we throw it in here and then throw it in there? Because here's the reality of excellence. We are what we repeatedly do. Then excellence then is a habit. I mean, I butchered it. I know it's some quote. Sorry, I apologize for that. But I mean, I think it's just, if we want quality out of anything, we have to give things the time to develop in a habit forming way. And so again, I look at that. The other thing too is, again, clear systems, right? I'm trying to think of, like, okay, I'll just give an example. I'm actually kind of passionate about politics a little bit. I like to learn. I like to try to educate myself. I haven't 100% done it, but if I really wanted to be educated the way I know I need to go back to the beginning, the basics. And the basics would be, do I study the Constitution? Do I study documents from that? Do I engage on a daily basis? Do I create a habit daily that is, working through the source material, if you will. Now, as you get, if they're young, that's hard for kids. But as you get older, like, I look at everything in my life. If I chose to want to improve in an area of my life, it would always come down to habit first, quality second. Like, I think this is the thing that I'm very passionate about at this moment. I just feel like the education system is a much simpler system than we're under right now. I just think there's room to simplify it. Now, I've had another concept, which I'll make another video at some point, that's called about everything in life is simple but not easy. And I think we sometimes conflate the two. We sometimes say, well, easy and simple are the same thing. And if we are sending that message in education, that's our fault. We need to stop doing that, because everything in education is actually very simple. Just do the work. That's it. Do the work. But it's rarely is it easy. Rarely is it easy. But anyway, again, I just like this concept of habit first, quality second. I think that if we stop and pause and just take a breath and look at what we're doing, we could probably all find areas where we could improve in the simple habit forming things that we do on a daily basis. And consistency is key. Like the theme of this channel has always been consistent effort over time equals success. And I think, again, the sub theme would be habits first, quality second. And so again, as I'm signing off and ending this, I would just say, can you identify areas in your current curriculum, in the current routines you do, or maybe areas where you could think, what, if I did this every day, this one little simple thing, I don't know if it's journaling, if it's, we talk about bell ringers and, like things. I'm trying to use all the jargon that educators use, but, I'm sure many of us do it already a little bit, but I wonder if we cut corners. I wonder if we don't have the habit first mindset in our mind when we're teaching, because let's face it, I know that as classroom teachers, like as a music teacher, I'm lucky. I kind of have a lot more leeway, I guess, in my curriculum. I know that we struggle though with this idea that we have to get to everything in our curriculum, or we have to teach all these subjects. But the irony is, if you want to call it the compound effect, is if we're constantly doing other things, the learning is disjunct. It doesn't have a consistent flow. And if we understand the compound effect, which is something else I talked about, over time it's slow and steady. But there's this moment where things start to compound, right? But it can only do it in habits, right? So again, I could also say it this way: taking a really good look at your curriculum and figuring out if it's sequenced well, right? Because sequencing is about the idea of building on top of each other, right? Just like the habits. So anyway, I hope you can kind of see, at least in this concept, that habit first, quality second can be taken a lot of different ways. But it's such a simple concept. And at least in my limited world, okay, I don't know what's going on all around the country, but in my limited world, I do think we put so much emphasis on these tests, these outcomes, right? That, which to me is the quality part. And we forget that if we're not teaching the habits, the consistent habits first, most students, because again, I hope this is not un-PC or is PC, sorry, that a lot of our students in the education system don't get any of that modeled, right? The ones that do are going to be successful probably no matter what, despite the education system or not, because they're getting probably a better model at home or whatever. But I know in the teacher, what's the word I'm looking for? Lounge, I guess is the word. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore. I know of lots of conversations where we talk about students that just are probably not getting this at home. And yet we're always constantly told that higher standards are a good way. And I agree. I do think kids can, if we hold them accountable to a standard, they can learn how to lift up. But I will say this: without proper habits to begin with, without good study habits, without good writing habits, without good math habits, without literally just the habit of showing up and putting in the effort, right? Those habits, the quality is probably going to suffer. So again, would it make more sense in our education system to go back to hyper-focusing, or maybe not hyper-focusing, but just focusing more on the effort, right? I did a video about 90-20 or 80-20, 90-10, about the idea of maybe switching those around and making effort more important in the grade. Again, if you notice, all these things are tied together. All these little concepts are tied together. Anyway, I appreciate your time. Again, like I said, I'm just trying to find a venue, an avenue for some of my ideas, wild and crazy as they might be. But as I've said, in certain areas, I think we all have these moments of epiphany where we can't unsee something. And I see holes in the education system, and I want to fix it. I have a desire. Like, one of my bigger goals in life is I love adding value. I love teaching, right? I'm not a fan of the bureaucracy. That's another thing. Maybe I'll make a video on that. But I absolutely love the joy of teaching. I have a teacher spirit. But with all the bureaucracy, my spirit sometimes gets smushed, gets squished. And so again, in my perfect system, we would focus on habits more. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a great night, day, morning, whenever you watch this. I will see you guys. And as always, consistent effort over time equals success.